Hello, friends, and welcome to Common Sense News. I'm Doug Compton, and we got some breaking news here. If you haven't heard, Bloomberg is taking on Hillary Clinton as his running mate. Now, why is he doing that? As I've said before, Hillary Clinton doesn't really have any support. So either that was a stupid move by Bloomberg, or she's the only one that's willing to run with Bloomberg, because Bloomberg doesn't have any support either. So that kind of makes sense. Or maybe he has a plan of some sort. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and find out. Another thing I want to talk about is this coronavirus. And I've touched on it a little bit previously in another video. I don't think it's going to be a black plague type of thing, because there's just way too many things that just don't make sense. Like, for instance, the numbers that China puts out are, China's lying for sure. They always lie about the numbers that they put out, their GDP numbers and all of those things. And whenever they joined the WTO back in the 90s, they broke pretty much every single rule. And we see that now with our massive trade deficit. So the Chinese Communist government is not to be trusted. So the numbers that they put out, are questionable. So right now they have 7 million people locked in quarantine, locked in their houses. They have factories shut down. Like I just said, there's just a lot of weird things going on. China has blocked American scientists to provide assistance. Trump wants to send over American scientists are the best in the world. He wants to send them over there to China to help out, and they've said no. So that's kind of weird. But that's the virus itself isn't necessarily my worry. My concern is the economics behind it. China is 21% of the world's economy. Of the world's GDP is China. Which was done by design, but we can talk about that later. So with these factories being shut down, I think this coronavirus is only going to accelerate the already declining Chinese economy. Because the Chinese economy, because of the tariffs that Trump has put on, the Chinese economy is already declining, and this coronavirus is only going to accelerate that. Now, the timing of this is very interesting because I'm gonna go a little deeper into this. So, the deep state, the Democrats, the dark left, whatever you want to call them, they've tried everything. They've tried Russian collusion, obstruction of justice. They tried impeaching him. They've tried everything to remove this president. This could be, I could be wrong, but this could be another way to do that. Because if you look at history, if the country is in a recession, the incumbent president loses the election every single time. So if this coronavirus causes a massive recession in China, which holds 21% of the world's economy, that's going to hurt a lot. That's going to hurt the Europeans a lot. That's going to hurt Australia. That's going to hurt the surrounding countries. And that's going to hurt America. So the timing of this is very interesting. So to touch on the economy a little bit, the numbers are good. The GDP is as high as it's been in years, but of course, like as Trump said when he was running for president, that the numbers were fake, and he was right. And now he's saying, that these numbers are good, and these numbers are, you know, um, just talking about the numbers in general. And he's basically just using their own tools against them, because what are they gonna do? Come out and say, oh well, these numbers are fake. The numbers that we've been using for the past 30 years. No, they're not going to come out and say that. So he's just using their own tools against them. But it's weird timing to me that there is a chance that this coronavirus can completely collapse the Chinese economy, which in turn would cause a recession, if not depression, all around the world. Now, I consider myself somewhat of an economist. I'm not. I don't have a degree or anything, but that's how I started off getting into politics. I was a registered libertarian, and the Libertarian Party has betrayed me. So, but I can get into that another time. But so I know a lot about the monetary system, and we were taken off the gold standard in 1971, which is where we were on a gold standard. Our dollar was backed by gold, and what that does is that restrains the government from printing too much money, because all the money that they printed, because the money in your wallet, the cash, all it is a piece of paper. That's it. The only thing that gives it any value is because they tell you it has value. And so ever since 1971, we've been on a fiat currency system, which fiat is Latin for let it be. And the fiat currency system is a system that will not last. It will not last. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. I don't remember who it was, but it was someone back from the 1800s or something like that. Because there's been over, I think, 5 million different fiat currencies over the last couple thousand years, and every single one of them has failed. And there was a quote by some guy. God, I wish I would have looked this up before I recorded this. But the quote was, "All fiat currencies eventually return to their intrinsic value of zero," because that's really what the value of a dollar is zero. Which is why you should always own gold and silver. Gold and silver was money for thousands of years, and it will be money for thousands of years to come. You should always have that in your portfolio. The more the better, some economists or, CPAs or whatever financial advisor you have will tell you, you should have 10% in gold and silver, 20%. These numbers are all thrown around. As far as I'm concerned, would you rather have all gold and no dollars, or all dollars and no gold? It's a pretty simple answer. Because if you end up, buying too much gold, if that's even such a thing, you can always trade it for dollars. if you want, because it always has value. That's why it's used as money, because it takes effort on both sides. You have to mine it, you have to mint it, and it stabilizes the currency supply because you can't create it out of thin air like you can with dollars or any other fiat currencies, euros, the British pound, whatever, Chinese yuan, whatever fiat currency. Just pick one. They're all the same. They're all just pieces of paper backed by nothing but promises. And eventually all fiat currencies return to zero. So you should always own gold and silver, however much you're comfortable with. And silver right now is the most undervalued asset that there is by far. It's I think around $17 an ounce right now. With a premium, because you got to pay the person selling it about $20 you can get an ounce of silver. Just do that once a month. Whatever you're comfortable with. Buy silver. Buy gold. I recommend silver though, because historically the gold to silver ratio is about 9-1. And that's based on the mining output, meaning that every ounce of gold that's mined, they also mine 9 ounces of silver. So that's where they get that ratio. And back in thousands of years ago, they had to establish an exact ratio because some countries had more silver than gold. So they had to establish a ratio, and it's about 9-1. Right now, it's about 85-1. 85 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. So silver is obviously the better deal. And every time there's a recession, even looking back at 2010, 11, 12, whenever gold hit almost $2,000 an ounce, and silver was almost 50, they both went up, but look what happened to the ratios. The ratios go down. So silver, the gains you make on it is way better than gold in percentage wise, not necessarily dollars wise. And I don't recommend selling them for dollars. I recommend holding on to it for a rainy day, a very rainy day. So anyways, you should always have gold and silver in your portfolio. And this coronavirus, no matter what happens to it, there's a lot of weird things. The timing is weird that this would happen at the beginning of 2020. And actually, they knew about it. China knew about it back in November. And the scientist that discovered it died from the disease. And they didn't mention it to the United States until the end of December, middle of December, I want to say. I think is when they mentioned it to the United States. And then since then, we've just seen massive outbreaks. We haven't seen much here in America. But I'm not worried about being killed by the coronavirus. I'm worried about what it's going to do to the global economy. And the timing is weird, and like I've said, this might be a last-ditch effort by the deep state to get Trump out of office by causing a massive global depression, to get someone like a Bernie Sanders in that's, I'm going to save the day by giving everybody free this and free money and, whatever else that he says and all that stuff. So that's something that I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to pay close attention to this coronavirus and how it's going to be expanding. And also, why in the world Bloomberg would take Hillary Clinton as his running mates. I mean, I cannot think of two bigger losers to partner up to run for president because it's pretty obvious the corruption with Hillary Clinton. I mean it's mainstream media that the Clinton cabal is majorly corrupt, and Bloomberg, like I've said before, all Bloomberg has is money, and he's just pumping a bunch of money into this. And but one thing money can't buy is personality. And if you've ever heard him talk, he has no personality. um, it's almost as bad as Joe. Well, that's all I got for today. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe.